For 3 years, every phone call, every secret meeting, every whispered threat between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump was being recorded, and they had no idea. The man responsible for capturing these conversations, Netanyahu's own most trusted intelligence chief. But what happened when those recordings went up for sale would either save both men's careers or destroy everything they'd built. The buyer's identity, even I couldn't believe it when I found out. Picture this. December 2023, a nondescript office building in Tel Aviv. Inside, Mossad director Yaron Chen sits alone, staring at 3 years' worth of the most explosive recordings in modern political history. His hands are shaking, not from fear but from the weight of what he's about to do. But hold that thought, because you need to understand how we got here, and why the decision he's about to make will change the course of world history. It all started in January 2021, just weeks after Trump left office. Netanyahu was facing his own political crisis. Corruption charges, a coalition government threatening his power, and the mounting pressure of staying relevant on the world stage. That's when he made his first desperate call to Mar-a-Lago. What was said in that conversation? We'll get to that explosive detail in a moment. But first you need to know about the man who was secretly listening to every word. Yaron Chen had been Netanyahu's most loyal soldier for over a decade. Former special forces, brilliant strategist, and absolutely devoted to protecting Israeli interests. But there was something about Netanyahu's recent behavior that was eating at him, something that made him question everything he thought he knew about the man he'd sworn to protect. What changed his mind? The answer lies in a conversation from March 2021 that will make your blood run cold. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to that first recorded call between Netanyahu and Trump, the one that started this whole nightmare. "Donald, I need your help," Netanyahu's voice crackles through the recording, desperation evident even through the encrypted line. "The charges against me, they're getting serious. I need something that shows American support, something big enough to change the narrative." Trump's response: "Baby, you know I'd do anything for you, but I've got my own problems right now. What can you do for me?" That question, "What can you do for me?" would become the foundation of a 3-year criminal enterprise that would shock the world. Because what Netanyahu offered in return wasn't just political favors, it was classified intelligence, military secrets, and access to information that could destabilize entire regions. But here's what Chen didn't expect to hear next. "I can give you the Iran files," Netanyahu whispers. "Everything we have on their nuclear program, their secret facilities, their plans. Information worth billions to the right buyer." The silence on the line lasts for exactly 23 seconds. I know because Chen counted every one of them. When Trump finally responds, his voice has changed completely. "How much are we talking about, Bibi?" And that's when Yaron Chen realized he wasn't just listening to political allies, helping each other. He was witnessing the birth of the most dangerous partnership in modern history. But the next conversation he recorded, that's when things got truly terrifying. 2 weeks later, February 15, 2021. Another encrypted call, another shocking revelation. This time, Netanyahu has a different proposition. "Donald, I've been thinking about your legal troubles. What if I told you there was a way to make them disappear? Permanently?" Chen's blood runs cold as he listens. What Netanyahu is proposing isn't just unethical, it's potentially an act of war. "We have assets in the Justice Department," Netanyahu continues. "People who owe us favors from the Iran nuclear deal days. One word from me, and certain evidence disappears. Certain witnesses become unreliable." Trump's laughter through the recording is chilling. "And what do you want in return?" "The Palestinian recognition reversal you promised. The embassy move was nice, but I need you to help me finish what we started. Complete annihilation of their political legitimacy." But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Because Chen isn't just recording these conversations out of curiosity or duty, he's recording them because he's discovered something that changes everything. 3 months into his secret surveillance, Chen uncovers financial records that make him question everything he thought he knew about Netanyahu. Bank accounts in Switzerland, Cayman Islands and Singapore. Accounts that have been receiving regular regeers from Russian sources. The same Russian sources that have been funding Trump's business ventures. Suddenly the Netanyahu-Trump partnership makes terrifying sense. They're not just allies helping each other survive their legal troubles. They're both compromised by the same foreign power, and they're using their positions to serve Russian interests while enriching themselves. But wait, there's something else. Something that makes this conspiracy even more twisted than you could imagine. Chen discovers that the Russian money isn't just going to personal accounts, it's funding a shadow network of operatives across the Middle East, Europe, and the United States. A network designed to destabilize democratic institutions and create chaos that benefits. That's where our SIR takes its most shocking turn. The recording that makes Chen decide to go rogue happens on July 4, 2021. The timing couldn't be more ironic. Netanyahu's voice is cold, calculating. Donald, Putin wants us to accelerate the timeline. The Middle East needs to be destabilized before the Americans can establish their new alliances. What are you suggesting? Trump asked. A false flag operation, something big enough to justify military action, but small enough that we can control the narrative. We stage an attack on American forces, blame it on Iran, and give you the excuse to start the war Putin needs. The silence that follows lasts nearly a full minute. When Trump finally speaks, his words send chills down Chen's spine. How many American soldiers are we talking about sacrificing? Whatever it takes to sell the story, Putin's already transferred another 50 million to our accounts. We can't disappoint him now. That's the moment Yaron Chen decides that loyalty to Netanyahu ends where loyalty to humanity begins. But his decision to expose this conspiracy, that's where our story really begins to get dangerous. Chen's first attempt to release the recordings fails spectacularly. He approaches the New York Times. The Guardian even tries contacting the FBI, but each time his evidence mysteriously disappears. His contacts suddenly become unreachable, his secure communications are compromised. That's when he realizes how deep this conspiracy goes. Netanyahu and Trump don't just have allies in their own governments, they have assets everywhere. The intelligence networks, the media companies, the financial institutions, all compromised. So Chen makes a decision that will change everything. If he can't expose them through official channels, he'll expose them through the black market. He'll sell the recordings to the highest bidder and let market forces force in who gets to destroy these two men. But here's what Chen doesn't realize. By going to the black market, he's about to trigger an international bidding war that will involve every major power on Earth. Finding buyers for recordings this explosive isn't as simple as posting on the dark web. These aren't just political embarrassments, they're evidence of war crimes, treason, and international conspiracy. The wrong buyer could use them to start wars, topple governments, or hold entire nations hostage. Chen's first contact comes from an unexpected source, a representative of the Chinese government. They're offering $500 million for the complete collection. Their plan? Use the recordings to diplomatically isolate both the United States and Israel, positioning China as the only stable superpower. The meeting takes place in a Hong Kong hotel room. The Chinese operative, a woman named Li Wei, spreads the offer across the table like she's buying vegetables at a market. Mr. Chen, she says in perfect English, these recordings could end American hegemony in the Middle East permanently. China would be grateful. But Chen hesitates. Selling to China means unleashing chaos that could destabilize the entire Western alliance. Is that really what he wants? The second offer comes from Iran, $750 million, and they plan to release everything immediately, causing maximum chaos in both American and Israeli politics. Their goal isn't just embarrassment, it's the complete destruction of both countries' international credibility. The Iranian contact is more direct. These men have been planning our destruction, he tells Chen during a clandestine meeting in Cyprus. Give us the weapons to destroy them first. But the third offer? That's the one that changes everything. $2 billion. Cash. Immediate transfer. And the buyer? Someone Chen never saw coming. Someone whose identity would terrify both Netanyahu and Trump more than any foreign government ever could. The buyer is Jared Kushner. Trump's own son-in-law wants to purchase the recordings that could destroy his father-in-law's legacy. But why? What could possibly motivate him to spend $2 billion of his own money to acquire evidence of his family's crimes? The answer, when Chen discovers it, is more twisted than anything he could have imagined. Kushner isn't buying the recordings to protect Trump, he's buying them to destroy him. Because buried in those 3 years of conversations is evidence that Trump betrayed the Kushner family's business interests to serve Russian and Israeli agendas, evidence that cost the Kushners billions in lost deals and damaged relationships. The revelation comes during a secret meeting in Dubai. Kushner, looking older and more bitter than Chen remembered from the news, lays out his plan with chilling precision. My father-in-law destroyed my family's business to serve his own ego. Kushner explains. He promised Netanyahu things he had no right to promise, using our connections, our reputation, our money, and for what? So he could play president for 4 more years? Jared's plan is simple and brutal. Use the recordings to destroy both Trump and Netanyahu, positioning himself as the clean alternative who can rebuild damaged international relationships. He's not trying to save anyone, he's orchestrating the biggest political revenge in American history. But Chen is starting to realize that every buyer has their own agenda. China wants to destroy American power. Iran wants to start a war. Kushner wants personal revenge. None of them care about justice or exposing the truth. They just want to use the recordings as weapons. That's when Chen makes a decision that surprises everyone, including himself. He decides to hold his own auction. Not just between the three parties but open to anyone with the resources to bid. The rules are simple. Highest bidder gets the recordings, but Chen retains the right to release them publicly if he believes the buyer plans to use them for destructive purposes. The auction takes place in a secure facility in Switzerland. The bidders arrive separately, unaware of each other's presence, until they're all seated in the same room. Chen watches from behind bulletproof glass as the most powerful people on Earth prepare to bid for the power to reshape history. China opens with $500 million, Iran counters with $750 million, Kushner raises to $1 billion. But then something unexpected happens. A fourth bidder enters the room. It's someone Chen never invited. Someone who shouldn't even know about the auction. Someone whose presence changes everything. It's Vladimir Putin. "Gentlemen," Putin says in accented English, taking a seat at the head of the table, "I believe you're bidding on something that belongs to me." The room falls silent. Everyone understands the implication. Putin is claiming ownership of the conspiracy, and by extension the recordings of it. "You see," Putin continues, "Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. Trump were working for me. Everything they did, every crime they committed, was in service to Russian interests. These recordings document my operations, which makes them Russian state property." Chen's blood runs cold. If Putin can legally claim the recordings, he can prevent their release entirely. The conspiracy would remain hidden, and both Trump and Netanyahu would escape justice. But Putin isn't done. However, he says with a slight smile, "I'm willing to participate in this auction. My opening bid is $5 billion. The number hangs in the air like a bomb. $5 billion, more than most countries' annual defense budgets. Putin isn't just bidding to win, he's bidding to ensure no one else can afford to compete. But here's where our story takes its final shocking twist. As the auction continues, Chen receives an encrypted message on his secure phone. It's from Netanyahu himself. "Yaron," the message reads, "I know what you're doing, I know why you're doing it. But you don't understand the full picture. Meet me tonight. Alone. I'll tell you everything." Chen stares at the message, his mind racing. After 3 years of surveillance, after discovering the depths of Netanyahu's corruption, why would he want to meet now? What could he possibly say that would change anything? But curiosity wins. That night, Chen drives to a remote location outside Tel Aviv. Netanyahu is there, waiting alone in his car. He looks older, more tired than Chen has ever seen him. "Get in," Netanyahu says simply. For the next 2 hours, Netanyahu tells Chen a story that changes everything he thought he knew about the recordings, the conspiracy, and his own role in exposing it. "You think I didn't know you were recording me?" Netanyahu begins. "Yaron, I've known for 2 years. Every conversation, every meeting, I knew you were listening." Chen's world starts to crumble. If Netanyahu knew about the surveillance, why didn't he stop it? Why did he continue making incriminating statements? "Because," Netanyahu, he continues, "I needed someone I trusted to witness what was really happening. The Russian money, the conspiracy with Trump, the plans for false flag operations, none of it was my idea. I was being blackmailed." Netanyahu explains that Putin had compromising material on him from decades ago, evidence of war crimes from his military days that could destroy not just his career but Israel's international standing. The choice was simple: cooperate with Russian plans, or watch Israel become a pariah state. "Every conversation you recorded, every crime you documented, I was trying to leave a trail of evidence that would expose Putin's network. I knew that eventually, someone would find those recordings and use them to bring down the real enemy." Chen stares at Netanyahu, trying to process what he's hearing. "So the corruption charges, the scandals, all of it, diversions," Netanyahu finishes. "Better to be seen as a corrupt politician than to reveal that Israel's prime minister was being controlled by Russia. But I needed someone to capture the truth, someone who could expose Putin's network when the time was right." "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Because I needed your reactions to be genuine. If you knew you were part of a counterintelligence operation, your behavior would have changed. Putin's people would have noticed. Netanyahu reaches into his jacket and pulls out a device Chen has never seen before. This contains evidence of Putin's entire network, bank accounts, operatives, planned operations across dozens of countries. Everything you need to destroy not just Trump and me but the real threat behind us. He hands the device to Chen. The auction tomorrow. Let Putin win. Let him think he's safe. Then release everything, the recordings, this evidence, all of it. End this nightmare once and at all. Chen takes the device, his hands shaking. Why should I trust you? How do I know this isn't just another manipulation? Netanyahu looks out the window at the lights of Tel Aviv. Because in 3 hours I'm going to be arrested. The corruption charges, the scandals, they're all true. I did those things to maintain my cover, to keep Putin's trust while I gathered evidence against him. But now it's over. I'll spend the rest of my life in prison, but at least I'll know that Putin's network is exposed. As if on cue, flashing lights appear in the distance. Police cars, speeding toward their location. They found us, Netanyahu says calmly. Remember, Yaron, let Putin win the auction, then destroy him. The police surround the car. Netanyahu steps out with his hands raised and Chen watches as the man he thought was a traitor is arrested for crimes he committed to save his country. The next day the auction concludes exactly as Netanyahu predicted. Putin's $5 billion bid is unchallenged. He takes possession of the recordings, confident that he's buried the evidence of his conspiracy. But that night, Chen does exactly what Netanyahu asked. He releases everything. The original recordings, the evidence from Netanyahu's device and the full story of Putin's 3-year operation to control American and Israeli leadership. The fallout is immediate and devastating. Putin's network is exposed across dozens of countries. Russian operatives are arrested in major capitals worldwide. The conspiracy that began with Trump and Netanyahu ends with the collapse of Putin's international influence network. Netanyahu dies in prison 6 months later, officially from a heart attack. Unofficially, most intelligence experts believe he was poisoned by Russian agents seeking revenge. His final sacrifice to expose the truth costs him everything. Trump faces federal charges for treason and conspiracy. The evidence is overwhelming, the recordings undeniable. His political career ends not with election loss, but with criminal conviction. Chen disappears after releasing the evidence. Some say he's in witness protection, guarded by international intelligence agencies grateful for his courage. Others believe he was eliminated by surviving members of Putin's network. His final encrypted message to the press simply read, "The truth has been told. My work is done." Today, as you listen to this story, the world is still dealing with the consequences of those 3 years of recorded conversations. Governments have fallen, alliances have shifted, and the balance of international power has fundamentally changed. The recordings that Yaron Chen risked everything to preserve didn't just expose individual corruption, they revealed a global conspiracy that threatened the foundations of democratic society. And the man who made it possible? He's either a hero who saved the world or a ghost who disappeared into the shadows after changing history forever. But here's the final twist that even Chen never saw coming. 6 months after Putin's network was exposed, after Netanyahu's death and Trump's conviction, Chen receives one last message. It's from an encrypted account he doesn't recognize, but the content makes his blood run cold. Mr. Chen, you've done excellent work exposing the Russian network. Unfortunately, you've only uncovered layer 1 of a much deeper conspiracy. The Chinese operation runs much deeper than Putin's, and they've been using the chaos you created to advance their own agenda. The Iranian network has been operational for twice as long as Russia's. And the real puppet masters? They're still hidden, still pulling strings, still controlling world events from the shadows. Your recordings were just the beginning. The real conspiracy is still out there and they've been watching you this entire time. In fact, they've been helping you. Every step of your investigation, every piece of evidence you discovered, every contact that helped you, it was all orchestrated by them to eliminate their competitors and consolidate their own power. Congratulations, Mr. Chen, you've just helped the true enemy win. The question is, do you want to know who they really are? Or will you disappear into witness protection and let them continue controlling the world? The choice is yours. But remember, they already know what you're going to choose. They've been planning for this moment for decades. Welcome to the real game, Yaron, the one that never ends. The message is unsigned, but Chen knows he's at another crossroads. Everything he thought he understood about the conspiracy, about his role in exposing it, about the nature of truth itself, it's all been called into question. As he sits in his safe house staring at this final message, Chen realizes that in a world of infinite deception, the only truth is that the game never really ends. There's always another layer, another conspiracy, another enemy hiding behind the one you just defeated. But sometimes, exposing even part of the truth is enough. Sometimes, bringing down even some of the corrupt systems is progress. And sometimes, the courage to act in the face of overwhelming complexity is its own form of victory. The recordings that started this entire story are now part of history. They changed the world, ended careers, and exposed truths that powerful people would have killed to keep hidden. Whether they represented the complete truth or just another layer of deception, they served their purpose. They reminded the world that no one, no matter how powerful, is above accountability. And that sometimes the most important truths come from the most unexpected sources. The man who recorded them, his final fate remains a mystery, but his impact on history is undeniable. In the end, that might be the most important truth of all.